A year ago today, a Fort Worth police officer shot and killed a 72-year-old homeowner during a botched response to a burglar alarm. They went to the wrong house. Both responding rookie officers were cleared of wrongdoing, but the Waller family still believes somebody needs to be held accountable. Fox 4's Calvert Collins joining us from the Wallers' home tonight, where family and friends gathered for a vigil. Calvert.
Yes, Steve, that candlelight vigil just ended. You can see some of the folks on this street still here, and many have a lot of questions, as you can imagine. Just 1 year later, this incident shocked this family, these neighbors, this whole street. Many still have a lot of questions how Jerry Waller's death was from a police mistake, and like I said, they still want answers as to how this all happened despite the criminal case being closed. The Waller family has not spoken publicly since the very first days of the investigation last year, making no comment even after the grand jury no-billed Officer R.A. Hepner, who shot Jerry Waller. Before that candlelight vigil, among dozens of friends and neighbors, Jerry Waller's daughter said how offended the family remains by the reports of the officers involved, how an innocent man trying to protect his family lost his life in his own home.
We are not only suffering because we lost our beloved Jerry, we are suffering because the police directly responsible for my father's, can I stop? We suffer because we cannot trust a system that promoted dishonesty and perpetuated injustice. The police directly responsible for my father's death are not the only ones who acted unprofessionally and unethically. We waited 8 long months for the city to allow us access to documents that would explain what happened to my father. With so many inconsistent statements, mishandled pieces of evidence, and glaring omissions, we can see why the Fort Worth Police Department want to keep these documents under wraps. Our resolve to get justice for my father has only grown.
Angie Waller described her father's last day, Memorial Day 2013, as a happy and peaceful one, beginning the day hanging the American flag to honor troops and barbecuing with friends. She said he had a full summer planned with lots of projects that never got done.
Shots fired. We need to send the ambulance.
72-year-old Jerry Waller had been shot by police in his own garage. Fort Worth officers R.A. Hepner and B.B. Hanlon responded to a burglary call at 409 Havenwood Lane last May 28th. But the address technology in their cruiser took them to the wrong house, and poor lighting in the neighborhood at that house was also an issue. The two saw Waller holding a handgun at 404 Havenwood, not knowing if he was the burglar or the homeowner. In the police report, Hepner commanded Waller to put the gun down. He complied, laying it on the trunk of his car, and as Hepner tried to retrieve it, he said Waller reached for it, and Hepner fired 6 shots, killing him.
I don't know who the guy is. The guy came out with a gun. He wouldn't put the gun down. He pointed at Hepner. Hepner fired.
Both officers were put on leave. Hanlon was fired in October on an unrelated incident, and in January, a Tarrant County grand jury declined to indict R.A. Hepner for shooting Waller several times.
Personally bothered me.
Then, only after his officer was cleared of criminal wrongdoing, did Fort Worth Police Chief Jeffrey Halstead talk about the case.
They had other reflections that this looked like it was something was going on at this house, and then they're faced with what they were faced with. They had milliseconds to make a decision, and they will endure that second guessing of themselves for the rest of their career.
The complete autopsy report released in February showed Waller had liver cancer. 2 sources confirmed to Fox 4 News that although Waller had been treated for cancer before, he did not know, and his family was surprised to learn the cancer had returned. It was interesting as neighbors started to arrive in front of this house. Many were recounting that day, that night 1 year ago when they first saw police flashlights in the neighborhood. Again, those officers believed responding to a burglary call. And a lot of the neighbors were saying, oh, I remember hearing the shots and remember seeing the Waller family coming out. So it's clear, Steve, 1 year later, this neighborhood is still shaken by this incident.
All right, so let's talk about what's next. We know Officer Hanlon was fired for lying about another case. Hepner was back on the job quickly and is still on the job. Cleared in the criminal case. The family sounds like I mean, they're saying justice has not been served and they're going to still continue to go for it. Does that mean civil lawsuit? What's ahead?
Well, that's what I asked the family attorney tonight, who's kind of been their point person here. And I asked him if a wrongful death suit was maybe in the works. The statute of limitations here in Texas is 2 years from the time of the death. So the Waller family still has 1 more year to file a civil suit against the department or those officers. But he said that nothing has been filed yet, and remains to be seen as to when or if a suit will be filed. He said we'll just have to stay tuned for that.
Okay, Calvert Collins in Fort Worth tonight. Thanks.